fell off. Well, welcome back to another episode. This right here is a dirty old Barra engine. Came out of a BA Falcons, believed to have done about 250,000 Ks, and I paid 250 bucks for it. The reason I'm doing this video is I have got a few theories about these engines, and I'm going to go through those throughout the video. Many years ago, when the import scene was big and alive, there were RB25 engines everywhere. Basically, if you had an NA motor, you couldn't give that away. It was pretty much junk. If you had an RB25 turbo, or especially a Neo motor, they were not overly expensive, 500, 800 bucks-ish just for the engine. I think a half cut would run you around the $2,000 or 2,500 mark, so not an overly expensive unit. And they were everywhere, and we sort of took it for granted. And now they are kind of gone. Don't know what happened to them all. For crying out loud, we had so bloody many other things. You'd go into, I can't remember the names of the place. All Jap was probably one of the bigger ones in Brizzy. Just half cuts everywhere, engines just racked up. You could just get whatever you wanted. And stock turbos, people were throwing them in the bin. You know, turbo manifolds, all that sort of jazz. So, got a weird sort of a theory with this engine. I've had a few of these Barra motors, because I buy and sell the odd motor from time to time. These are super common right now and cheap. Like, they're 500 to 800 bucks to get you a running engine. This one's got no accessories, and it's pretty average in condition-wise for something that's done 250,000 Ks, supposedly. But they're kind of reaching that stage where the market's saturated with them. So I thought I might grab a couple, starting with this one. I've had a few before and sold them, but I thought I'd grab this one as a starting point. I'm going to make a little trolley for it in this video. But I've just got this funny feeling, theory. I've just seen enough over the years to know that sooner or later, things that are super common become super rare and desirable and expensive. So I am thinking I might just grab a couple of these and stash them away. Funnily enough, before COVID, when everything was normal and before things got really just out of control for no good reason, the local wrecking yard here on the Sunshine Coast, Kawana Auto Wreckers, I remember they were doing a special. I think if you bought 10 of these engines at once, they were 50 bucks an engine. Now, obviously that's no longer the case. You can't buy one of these for 50 bucks. But it kind of leads more to my reasoning of, given enough time, I think these will become valuable and desirable. I know there's certain people exporting these. That's going to help with desirability in Australia. If these start disappearing from our country, going to America and places like that, Dubai or wherever they send them, then the price of them here is only going to go up as they become fewer on the ground type scenario. And whilst we made a shitload of Falcons, like there's plenty of them still out there, it is one of those things that I just wonder, like one day, like we made a lot of HQ Holdens, for the population at the time too, especially. We made a lot of HQ Holdens, and they're thin on the ground these days. I know they're out there, but they fetch money. So, I don't know. Could be wrong, could be a waste of time. It could be a 20-year project, you know. Maybe we won't even be allowed to run petrol cars when this thing becomes valuable. It's hard to say. But I figured whilst they're going, you know, every now and again you see one pop up on Marketplace like this, $250. Why not? Just snag a few. Stuff them away is what I'm thinking. Nonetheless, I do have this one. This one's better than the last one I had. Last one I had was an FG motor, and it was in pieces. This one's all together, which is going to be a lot better. I'm just going to make a wee little trolley up for it, because having it hanging off this engine crane right now is a bit of an inconvenience in the workshop. There's a set of steps over there. I'm just going to stuff it under the steps for now. I know being 250 bucks into this, I can probably put it up tomorrow for 400 or 500 bucks and probably move it on. So, you know, if I decide this is a dumb idea, I might even do that. Wait and see. But let's make a trolley for it for now. Right. So this little area here is, I'll come back a little bit, give you a rough idea of how it works in the workshop. This is where you've seen the FB Holden was living, and the F-Truck, and the Ram, which is coming pretty well. It left me on the side of the road the other day in a test run though, so I'm doing shakedown stuff on that POS at the moment. It's kind of bothering me. Anyway, we'll go back to that thing in another video. Over the back here, I have some bits and pieces I think I can make a trolley out of. There's the kids' bikes. Over there, that thing with the caster wheel on the end of it. There's two of those. I don't know where the other one is right now. Hopefully I can find it. They were the supports that were underneath the chassis for the gasser, so that I could move the chassis around. So what I'm thinking is I'm just going to grab these, if I can find the other one, that would be nice, and shorten the center of it up, because I don't feel like cutting the wheels off or welding them on. Just shorten the center up, just take some out, weld it back together, and just make a wee little trolley so that little engine can roll around. And then I think we'll do a little bit of investigation work on the engine, probably pull the valve cover and whatnot, and see what's going on in there. So I'm going to get that one there out, and I don't know where the other one went. I don't know, it's got to be around here somewhere. I wouldn't have thrown it out because I am, well, you can probably see I'm good at hoarding stuff. There's wheels in there. That's where I'm going to put the engine. That's under the steps. I'm going to wheel him in there. Just tape up the ports. Probably put some oil in it too. There's wheels. I have lots of wheels in there, so I'm going to clean them out. All right, I'm going to grab this and find the other one. That's that sucker out. I found the other one. Talk about random locations. For some reason, it's over here behind the bender. So, anyway, I don't know really why I keep stuff like this, but oh God, I'm being attacked by a mop. No, it's a cobweb thing. I don't really know why I keep some stuff. Oh my God, it's heavy. Stuff like this, but I just do. I don't know, I spent money on it at some point in time. So let's see if we can, I don't know, something like that. Like I say, we'll shorten this fellow here up. We'll make some supports to the engine. I reckon that'll do. Alright. I reckon we go with an overall length of about 800 long. That's going to be pretty much front to back on the engine. We might go a little bit shorter. Let's go 700, because the bolt holes I want to pick up on the front, probably going to be about there. So if I go about 700 long, it's just compact, basically. That's my thinking there. Knock this dowel out, I can put it in there, or I can use the sump. I don't really want to use the sump in case I want to take the sump off, but I pick it up with the engine pan and take the sump off, so maybe take the sump, so it's got a threaded hole. That makes more sense. Okay, let's cut this. Okay, I cut that. I'm not going to cut that. I'm going to cut the wheels off. It's only 4 little welds, it's not that big a deal, because with that cut, the centerpiece is left over. This is a really stupid thing to be worried about. But this is, looks like 35 by 75, roughly. No? It's 65 by, that's an odd size, I'm not really familiar with that one. By 35, 65, 35. Anyway, this other piece is like, I don't know, 100 mil by 50. It's a pretty heavy wall. It's going to bother me if the box section is 2 separate sizes, which is, I know, is just ridiculous. But anyway, it'll bother me, so we're not going to do that. I'm going to cut the wheels off that one, cut that piece down to 700 long, and we're good to go here. So yeah. Okay, these two we're just going to weld back together, so I'll tack him up, and I've got the wheels ready to rip on the other one. Oh, I did not like that. It's not earthing through the bench properly. That's annoying. Come on, little fella. Come on. I'm just using the edge of the bench box just to line this up. Figured it doesn't have to be real proper. Well, it's close enough, will be good enough for this thing. Try that. That's better. Much better. Ooh, that is badly lined up. Very badly lined up, actually. Anyway, it's now tacked, so whatever's. Let's not worry about the details. 2 pieces of scrap steel. I got this one here ready to rip as well. Don't have to line it up with anything. Cut them wheels off the other one. Set them on here, roughly the same as that one there. A little bit of overhang, a little bit. Yeah, just overhung each side a bit. Add right there. There's a fair bit of coating on this box. It's also gal, but this was on the chassis when it went out for sandblasting to gas the chassis, so it is what it is. It'll do, is what I'm saying. You don't need to get too carried away here. Okay, cool, that looks alright. Man! Right, I'll weld that one out. We'll work out the next piece of this puzzle. Need a piece of steel for the back, just to support the whole thing. I reckon that fella there is going to do us. I think he's 25 by 25. 3mm wall. That's why there's a 3 on it. That'd make sense, wouldn't it? Let's use him. Okay, getting a little carried away. Let's give it a quick update. I welded that together. They don't line up real good, but I don't care enough. These are going to be outriggers. We're going to pick up on the engine mount there, so that's going to work nicely. This bar here is going to go across the back, just like that. And then I'm going to use either this hole or this hole, still haven't decided. I like this hole because you could pull the sump off of this. I don't know why you'd want to try and do that, so that seems dumb. Nonetheless, it'll probably be the way I go. So that's going to be that. That's going to... Let me see if I can true this up somehow. Rightio, folks. Here we are. Just going to decide to make it upside down because I couldn't do it the other way around. So I just got to try and check it square somehow. So let's just go with... Let's say that was going to be 660. 660. So that's going to be not square there. That's what that is. That's there. So now I need to check diagonally, but I've got wheels in the way. So I'm just going to check diagonally on the inside. That'll do the same thing, won't it? 873. Oof. Where are we shooting? I think this one needs to come in. So that was rolled. Maybe we set it to the back. Set it to the back. So the edge of this bench is square. That's going to give me a way easier starting point, I think. It was probably obvious from the start. You're probably screaming at it going, "Oi dude, seriously? Not real bright!" Wouldn't be the first time. Look at that, 855. Just a scoosh out. Which way are we out? I reckon we're going to come that way. $860. Oh, $860. What freaking money. That's what we wanted. Simples. Earth ourselves back out here. So take the earth clamp off. There you go, little buddy. Throw some taparoos on this fellow. That way I can flip her over and weld her out. There was some paint still on that part. It did not want to weld. Anyway. Pretty sick. The next thing is to add the outrigger supports for the engine. I have worked out roughly where they need to be. And that is about here. I'm just going to roughly true them. Don't want to get too accurate. I ground the gal, but clearly not enough. Then I'm just going to tack these. Before I fully commit to the idea, because I'm kind of just making this up on the fly, so let's just tack them on here and see what I think before I go getting excitable about it. Close to the edge, just using my finger to square it, not real accurate. Gal is fierce. Just like that. Ooh. Come on, come back here. Why are you doing that? Well, I know why you're doing that, because you're pulling still. Back over, I guess. Okay, that'll do that. That'll just give me those. This way I can slide the whole thing underneath there, work out where I want these two holes to be, And then I think I'm going to use some angle iron off the back here to grab some of those bell housing bolt holes. Good enough plan. So I have to jack the little fella back up a bit, so let him on the ground to try and work out some heights. So that should be up enough. Does this go under without fouling anything? Apparently it does. Measure twice, cut once. Here we are. Alright, come down on that. Leave a little bit of weight on the engine crane there. Yeah. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and mark these holes and drill them. And then I'm feeling just a piece of angle iron off the back here, knock this dowel out, same on the other side. This hole's now too low, so it takes that out of the equation and it won't bother me. So that hole, that'll be there. Oh no, we're nearly there. Come on, drill a hole. Nope, that's not it. Nope, still not it. That is it. Holes are drilled in booth and we're now welded. So that's that part done. Let's see if it fits back over there now so we can work out these rear mounts. And I think we're going to need some sort of a brace. I think it's going to want, the ends are going to want to turn inwards with the weight, even though these two pieces being bolted to the engine mounts should act as a cross member. I still feel like it's a bit too much weight for that little piece of steel at the back to stop the torsional twisting of the whole thing. I might just add a crossbar in there. I'll think about that. Check this out for interesting. I've got the weight off of this. I have to take a little bit more weight. The engine mounts perfectly balance the engine. More or less. Like, it wants to dive a little bit nose down, but essentially, most of that pivotal moment is in the center of it. It's a little bit nose heavy. I reckon if you took those last couple of accessory parts off, it'd nearly be middle balance. That's really, I just thought it was kind of cool and clever. Anyway, we'll come back up to screw so it sits right. There. Alright, with that in place, that's cool. I am going to knock this dowel out. We're just going to put a piece of angle iron on here and pick up on this bolt here. And our little trolley's done. I don't know if it needs a middle bracey support thingy. I think this will be sufficient. For once you bolt this bit here, either side, it kind of like, that is your cross member. So for the sake of moving around the workshop, I think it'll be sufficient. That's what I'm saying. Anyways, let's go knock this out and work this out. I made some brackets. Oh, jeez, it's a long way down tonight. I made some brackets. They're a little bit more fancy than they probably needed to be, but I cut them out of a piece of box and never any angle iron that was going to do the job. I drilled a hole in them, and they should be absolutely spot on for what we want to do here. So all you're going to do is sit on the frame. I found some random bolts because these are bigger than M10 in the top holes here. So all I'm going to do is put the bolt through the hole with a nut on the back, like so. Just on this outwards part where the starter motor is meant to live. That'll be number one. Do the same on the other side and burn them in. Then we can pull it apart, make sure these welds are good, and we'll have a look inside here and see what lovelies are in there. I've already pulled the cap off. I think it's going to be pretty nasty. So let's go on a journey of discovery together. Yep, once again, did not clean off the gal as best as I could have. And I'm just trying to throw this together tonight because tonight's all I have. Glorious galvanized metal. I didn't even clean the paint off the paint surface. That was that. Sick. Well, that's it. We'll take the weight off the crane now and see what we got. There she is on her stand. What's that rag? That came with it. Oh, it's just blocking the water outlet. Nothing big deal there. Anyway, stand works really, really well. It's sort of, I don't know. You can kick it. It does things that it wheels around, which is fantastic news. I've already had a little look inside the... come on, go back to where you were. Rotten little thing. There you go, right there. I've already had a look in here, but we're going to have a quick look together, see if we can see anything without a torch. Yep, you get the general idea. I don't think it's had regular oil changes, so that's disturbing. I haven't had this off yet. Oh, there's no bolts in this piece. Okay, cool, that makes that easy. What do we got down here? Oh, do we have... We don't have any spark plugs either. This is just how it came. I really haven't paid any attention to it. Let's just go over it. That's what I use for lifting it. Just a couple of exhaust flanges. We have an oil filter. We have a couple of sensors here. Looks like a knock sensor over here. That is the brace for the intake manifold. We have an oil filter, but no dipstick. I think that's the dipstick hole. Don't hold me to that. I don't know much about Barras. We have a tensioner and a couple of pulley. Let's see, water pump. Missing the bolt for the crank. Don't know why. That's the Torx bits under that. We have this tube that runs up the side. If any of you guys have ever played with turbo ones, these aren't too bad, they're NAs. The turbo ones, this O-ring in here always goes. Common issue. Normally if I have one comes in and we've got to pull a manifold because it's warped, which is a thing, they're a stainless steel manifold. Let's put this on the bench here. They're a stainless steel manifold, and if they warp, we can pull it apart. If you bump this stupid pipe, that O-ring there lets go. It's a Ford part. It's a little green O-ring. He's a bugger. Anyway, let's pull this apart. All right, so we got 10 mils here, and these are a Torx bit. Torx T40. So there you go. Good old Milwaukee tools. Get this one here off. You can stay loose there. You got loose there. All I'm expecting to see inside of here is just more of the same of what we saw inside this filler point. Nothing good, essentially. Oh, bloody thing. We ran over the battery at some stage and it doesn't stay in very well. Milwaukee tools are nearly indestructible. You can run them over with when you take cars off the hoist. The end of the battery's all imploded and absolutely shot and loose, and it barely clicks and works, but if you just jam it in there, it works! Marvellous! Like I say, I'm not expecting to find anything good in here. This engine is a rebuilder, if you ask me. It's seen some hard days, I reckon. And not a lot of oil changes. So, this is going to be overly difficult to get off. Did I miss something? That one, that one, that one, that one, that one. They're undone. Let's just pull them all out of the way. You wouldn't believe it, I just dropped my socket clean down where the spark plug goes. Anyway, we can deal with that later. I have a magnet that can recover that. Ah! What have I missed? What have I missed? There's something down the side. It seems to be pretty happy there. It moves side to side, but doesn't come off. I've never pulled a valve cover off of a Barra motor before. There's something just holding that there. Do you have to pull these out? Let's go find an 8mm and pull these two sensors out and see what that does. Maybe that's a thing. First things first, let's go grab our dealy bag. What has that got stuck to it? Where is something stuck to it? Let's not put that there again. There we go, there's our Torx bit back. A T40. That with our pile of bits, along with our magnet. I'm assuming these are cam angle sensors. I don't know. How's this go? Thought this would be easier. Anyway, let me go grab a pry bar and see if I can pry them out. No, maybe I don't need that. Maybe I definitely do need that, actually. Let's find out. The pry bar, I went with a small screwdriver. It comes off of there. Oh, I think he's screwed in. Okay, okay, learning together, people. If you've never done this before, this is a thing. So that's those two little bits, and they stay behind. I'm assuming we this thing backwards now, because I've taken all the bolts out. And I think that's how that works. Nope. There's a no. It's a very solid no. Maybe these unscrew somehow. Let me investigate something, and I'll see how these come out, and I think they have to come out before this comes off. A little bit, so I think I wasn't holding my tongue right. Yes, I was not holding my tongue right. Get out of it. Okay, we lost that. Whoa! Yep, that's a lack of oil changes right there. Funnily enough, being a Barra, I actually don't think that's going to hurt the engine too much. A little bit of silicone there on that join to try and make that go back on in a second. All in all, as you can see, it's yucky. Yucky. That's not good. But for the sake of the engine, I don't think it matters too much. Funnily enough, these engines can handle some abuse, which is disturbing as to what people do to them. Just change your oil, basically, is what I'm saying. It doesn't hurt, doesn't cost a lot of money. You can do it at home. Every 5,000 Ks, drop your oil and change it. You can abuse your engine all you want. Change the oil, it makes a huge difference. So yeah, anyway, that's pretty much the crust of that. Oh, these little reluctor wheels here, that must be the cam angle sensors. And this here, I have no idea. I'm gonna go with some sort of variable cam timing arrangement. Chain still looks good. And these are your cam phases, they look totally fine. Definitely all 6 spark plugs are missing. And the sludge in here is deeply disturbing. I might bring you guys in and give you a better look at that. She's a sludgy old engine. Does not have regular oil changes. The lobes look okay. The rockers, well, they're probably okay. I think they're rockers. Is that how this works? Oh, yep, there's the valve. That's a rocker. Yeah, okay, cool. Very good. Okay, that's that. If you look down the back here, she's super sludgy. This has gone a long time between oil changes. But, like I say, with these engines, much like most of the Australian Ford motors, you can abuse the crap out of these things and they'll still keep going. So yes, anyways, it's a good rebuildable core, I would call it. I would say that the cams are probably okay, they'll clean up, and that the rest of the engine internally is probably good enough to rebuild. It wasn't meant to be a running engine, but, you know, how much longer it was going to be running for, that's very debatable. Well, that is about all there is to it. Like I say, the Barra motor is a pretty legendary Australian engine. It is the finest of the Ford engines ever made. You can argue that all you want, but let's face it, this bad boy under the right conditions can make 3,000 horsepower and can make 500 rear wheel horsepower in a BA Falcon or any other Falcon for that matter with very little mods. It's a rather impressive engine. I think one day they will be valuable, and I think they'll always be legendary. So whether I store this one and a few of its friends and maybe one day make a few bucks, I don't really know. I'm just going to tape up all the ports. I'll get some plugs after Christmas and put plugs back in it so it's all sealed up. Whether it's valuable one day or not, really don't know. But it's an interesting thing. One day all of these things do become valuable, and how long do you hang on to them before that day of value comes? Don't know. Wait and see, I guess. Trust me, sooner or later you will find out. It's an inevitable part of the cycle. When things become no longer available, they become desirable. People will become desperate to find them and will pay money for them. And that is kind of the gamble, I suppose. So let's see what history tells us, I suppose. With that being said, though, this is a $250 engine in today's market. And it is what it is, I suppose. It's a great core to rebuild and build whatever motor you want. You can fill it with rods and pistons and do all sorts of lovely stuff to it and make lots of horsepower. So I'm going to stick it underneath the steps for now, and its fate, well, I have no idea. We'll wait and find out. But thank you very much for watching this lovely episode of Shed Night. I'm going to go make a cold beverage, and we will see what this thing ends up with in the future. You guys will see the market and you will know. So there it is. Thanks very much for watching. See you on the next one.